In this video, I want to take a look at the remaining modifiers. Now, these are the active modifiers located down here at the bottom of our Geometry Tools window. Most of them are pretty quick. They're just little one-click operations that are very easy to understand. So we'll just cover them all right here. Now, there are 8 total buttons. There's Create, Delete, Flip, Split, Triangulate, Optimize, Turn, and Weld. Now, these are context-sensitive buttons, meaning that they will not be available all the time. Their availability depends on what you currently have selected. So, if I select just a brush at the object level, we see Flip, Triangulate, and Optimize. If I select a polygon, we see Delete, Flip, Triangulate, and Optimize. If I select an edge, which I got to click right on the edge, we just see Split and Turn, and if I select a vertex, we see Create, Delete, and Weld. So you see how it kind of jumps around. What I'm going to do is start out here at the object level, and we'll talk about Optimize, Flip, and Triangulate. So the first thing is Optimize. What Optimize is going to do is remove any detail that you do not need in order to define the shape of your object. For instance, if I take this vertex and we slide it up into the air, you'll notice that we automatically get a split to bust the non-planar face we created into 2 planar triangles. However, if I then take this vertex and we slide it back down to put everything back into a planar state, so you can see everything is nice and planar, we no longer need this diagonal edge. So if I select the object, notice I deselected and just reselected to make sure I had it at the object level, I can now click Optimize and boom, that diagonal goes away. So very quick and easy. Now next we have Flip. Now to help us understand Flip, it would be nice if we had an additive brush. So I'm going to hit Control A here in the perspective viewport to create an additive brush. We'll slide the builder brush out of the way. Now let's see if we can select this brush. I'm going to hit Control Shift and then click on our brush. That'll actually grab the brush itself. Now I'm going to select this polygon up here on top and click the Flip button. Now it doesn't look like anything happened, but if you rebuild your geometry, it now looks like we lost one of our polygons. As a matter of fact, if I hold down the L key and drag with the left mouse, you can see the result. Now, we did not delete this polygon. It's still there, but these polygons can only be seen from one side. And what we've just done is we flipped it over. So now we're kind of looking through it. If we take the brush, if we take our camera and bring it inside the brush, we can now see this face. And it might be easier if we had that brush selected, just so you can see the wires. So if we put the brush inside and look up, we can now see that polygon. So we can select it and we can flip it back over. Now that is flipping on an independent polygon by polygon basis. You don't have to do that. You can take an entire brush and you can flip the whole thing at once if you don't select any polygons. So now this brush is kind of inside out. It is always going to look like a box that is missing a few sides no matter where we view it. So let's go ahead and just flip that back and rebuild. Okay, next we have Triangulate. This is simply going to take the polygons of your brush and bust them up into triangles. So I'm going to switch over to brush wireframe mode just to simplify our view. And notice we have all these 4-sided faces like you would with any cube. We click Triangulate and those all turn into triangles. So I can rotate around and you can see all those. And then if you didn't like that and you wanted to revert it back, you could of course just click Optimize and that would get rid of all those extra triangle edges. So that's a look at those operations. Now let's switch over to vertices. So we see Create, which is new, Delete, and Weld, none of which we've got a chance to play with yet. So we'll start off with Create. Actually, we can't. We need to start off with Delete. So I'm going to grab a polygon and click Delete to remove it. Now we can play with Create. Because what Create is going to do is allow us to create missing polygons. Now, an interesting thing to keep note of here, to use the Create modifier, you need to select all of the vertices that surround a hole in your geometry. Now, the order in which you select them is important if you don't want to have to flip your resulting face back over. Let me just give you a quick demonstration. If I have this polygon up here in the upper left selected, hold down Control, and notice currently I'm selecting in a counterclockwise fashion. Now I click Create, it looks like nothing happened. However, if I put my brush down beneath or stick it up inside our additive brush here, you can see the polygon did get created, but it's flipped the wrong way. So we would need to select it and flip it back over. If we wanted to not have to do that, then we can go ahead and delete this again just for an example. Now, let's select our vertices again, starting up here at the upper left. This time I'll go in a clockwise direction. And when I click Create, the normal is already facing outward, so we don't have to flip anything. So keep that selection order in mind. If you want it to face out, you're going to need to select in a clockwise fashion. All right, now delete you already saw. We grabbed a polygon, we clicked delete, and it removed it. We can do the same thing with vertices. So it just removed that vertex. It ended up splitting the geometry, and now we have this great big hole that we could fill in with create if we want to. So make a quick clockwise selection, create, and there we go. So now we have this really interesting box that's had a corner removed from it. Now I don't really want to use that any further, so let's come back over here to the red builder brush, and with it selected, I'm just going to hit Control A once again to add a new additive brush. So we have something else we can play with. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to take a look at here was weld. Weld is just going to take a selection of vertices and weld them together. Now here's how it works. We select one, hold down Control, select another one, and click weld, and watch what happens. The second vertex jumped to the location of the first. So let's try that again. This time, just watch the selection. We start here. This is going to be the guy we weld to. The second one will be the actual vertex that gets moved and welded into position. So we click weld, and there we go. So now I've created a little bit of a wedge. Now, moving down from here, let's see. We've seen create, delete, we've seen flip. We haven't seen split yet. And that's a shame, because split's pretty cool. We can actually show split right here on the red brush. So we'll go ahead and select the builder brush. Now, to use split, you have to have an edge selected. So I'm going to select this edge up here at the top corner. And I'll just click it, and you can watch what happens. So we click split. We get a brand new edge, which is like an edge loop. It goes all the way around our object. It's perpendicular to the edge that we had selected, and it's halfway along the length of that edge. So it's a great way to quickly add more detail if you want to do something cool, like maybe grab this top resulting edge and slide it up, and we've created like a little BSP house shape. And then we could maybe grab, well, if we still had that cross beam selected that I just had a second ago. So go ahead and grab right there. There we go. So now we could split this, and maybe now grab that vertex there in the center. We can move that up. And you see how we can start to create some interesting shapes just by splitting and moving some detail around. So that's a quick look at split. What's left? We've got turn, and we've already covered weld, so I think that's it. All we've got to talk about now is just turn. And what turn is going to do is flip a triangle edge. So right here on this brush, I've got a triangle edge. We just got to select it. And it really requires some precision to grab an edge that's got a face on either side. So we'll go ahead and select that. I'm going to click turn, and there you go. It just runs it to the opposite side. Now, right off the top of your head, you may be thinking, well, I don't know if that's particularly useful. But check this out. I'm going to reset the builder brush to just a basic cube. And we'll slide it over here and fly over to take a look at it. And I'm going to grab the vertex over here on the left-hand side and slide this up into the air. And notice that we get a triangular split to help us keep everything nice and planar. However, take a look at the shape that was created. It almost has this crystalline look to it. What if we wanted the split to run between these two vertices so it looked like this upper face was folded in the other direction? Well, we would need to simply make sure we selected this edge, click turn, and now we've actually changed the shape of the brush by flipping that triangle edge around. So that is a look at the remaining modifiers that we had left. So it's all of the active modifiers down here at the bottom of the window. We've covered delete, covered create, flip and split. We covered triangulate and optimize. I'm just going back over my head because I don't want to miss anything. So that's all 8 of them. That is going to wrap up this video. Thanks a lot.